Thank you, everybody. Oh wait, nobody's clapping. That's a problem with the podcast. You don't get like an Ed McMahon introducing you and everybody's clapping.
You got to do yourself. You got to build up your own energy.
I got to get myself jacked up all by myself.
Yep.
It's not like you two guys are helping.
The crowd goes wild.
A little late there, Shar. And we welcome back Shar Sedge.
Woo!
I don't know what he was doing last week.
No, the seat has been warm. Who's been sitting here?
I sat in that
You
seat
sat in here when I saw
You can feel it, right?
You can still feel the heat of Nadler.
The other side of Scott Nadler.
Oh boy, that could lead to so many nicknames, Nadler. And Lone Daddy is here, of course. Hey, you know what?
What a guy.
Along with your series of hats, maybe a seat cushion. A Lone Daddy branded automatic warming seat cushion.
Put on the list.
Perfect.
Not a bad idea, Greg.
And I'm the Greg Heym of Greg Heym's Crossing the Line. See, it says so right on the cup.
Can't do it without Greg.
Always here. Always
100% Greg every week, whatever that means. And Lena and Ray, of course. We got to get
The brains
Ray back
behind
on the
the
show.
operation.
I keep getting emails about how great Ray was. They want more Ray. Ray's like, what's an email?
He's going viral.
Yeah.
No, I already heard that Lena's already got a target date for when she's taking over the show because she did so fantastic the first time around.
July 2027.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked.
Why
about
wait that long? I mean, come on.
She has to get married first, and then she's got to
that's
take over
true.
the show.
I was impressed with both of them. Actually, these are good.
Well, you got Shar's seal of approval, and he could litigate if he didn't like it. So you got to be careful.
They've seen enough mistakes being made at this table, so they knew what not to do.
Yes. The surprising part was that Vince was able to do their job so smoothly. Also,
Yeah,
Right?
well,
he was talking a little more than these two, but
Vince is a professional gabba-gabber.
yeah, he was.
And you put him with Lisa Ray. Hey, Lisa, right now, fast forward a couple days from now, and Lisa's watching this at her desk, and you'll hear the thump, 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 and she's like storming into my office.
What'd
And
you
then
say
her
about
mother's
me?
going to call me, and it's going to be a bit. All right, we're here at Studio 1873, conveniently located.
Right outside of Greg's office.
Wow.
That's right. Where these guys showed up late today, by the way. You're fined. That's it. You have to give me more money now. All right.
Did you hear Did you hear the story about Bill Belichick talking about how he had an offensive line meeting? A defensive meeting, and Lawrence Taylor showed up 20 minutes late, and he tried to wait. He's like, I just started without him. So afterwards, he goes to Bill Parcells. He goes, Bill, I just want to let you know we had a meeting. Lawrence Taylor was 20 minutes late. Not sure what you want to do. He goes, well, gosh darn it, Bill. Why'd you start without him? Then he wouldn't be late.
The funniest Bill Parcells
Same
quote
thing. Why?
I ever heard was they were talking about somebody ripping somebody's helmet off in practice, and they asked Bill Parcells, what do you think about that? And he goes, at least his head wasn't in it. All right, on that note, we're going to take a break. Sorry, but you're going to have to watch these guys' commercials. Time for new ones, boys. But we still love you. Keep those
Working on
checks
it.
coming. And we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Scott Nadler, VP of Mortgage Lending with Cross Country Mortgage. Want to slash your monthly payments or tap into your home's equity? Let's make it happen fast, smooth, and stress-free. Call me today and let's get those savings rolling.
Sedge & Zuckerman is a boutique residential law firm guiding you and your clients every step of the way with a solution-oriented approach. Make sure to work with a deal maker and not a deal breaker. Contact us today at sznylaw.com.
All right, and we're back feeling goofy on a Monday afternoon. So I was out Saturday night, date night with the wife. Let's just pretend that's what it was.
Ever since your anniversary, you're really with the flowers, the card, the date night.
You know, that's
Cue
it.
the Barry White in the
done for
background.
a year.
Empty nester. You got to.
Well, we went out, and it was a wait for a table, so we sat at the bar so I could watch the Knick game.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the guy next to me, who was there with his kid, I said, can you believe we're going to win this game? And after blowing 2 games in the worst manner, we're going to be tied and with home court advantage.
Right.
We don't deserve this, Scott Nadler. Isn't that true?
Do we not deserve it? I feel like we do
And you
deserve
know, I've
it.
taken-
There's been a drought for so long. We
Brunson's
need some.
off the table. Like, he's literally off the table.
I can see that.
Yeah, you might have been the.
I can see that.
Game 3 is all on him. I don't know what he's thinking at the end of the game. He wants to take every big shot. He thinks he's Robert Horry. Remember, they always call him Big Shot.
Mm-hmm.
You drive too far down to the baseline, and then you throw a garbage pass that gets picked off like
Listen, he's had games like this, but I will say he normally comes back pretty strong. And we did have a strong performance last game. He deferred to other guys. I think our coaching in game 3 was absolutely terrible. But after playing so poorly, it's tied up right now. It's happened 2 years in a row for us. We're running into the Hawks, who, just like the Pacers last year, were arguably the hottest team in the NBA going into the playoffs.
Well, McCullough has just been unconscious. The shot he hit, and I had a gig that night, and I'm like looking back because the TV was actually behind me, and I was like, oh my, how did he hit that shot?
Yeah.
Well, you can't help but wonder whether any of those first round picks.
Five first-round picks.
It's like saying Shar or Sedge 5 times quickly. Any of them could have been playing any better than Mikal Bridges, right? He just doesn't perform where he needs to be.
He scored the same amount of points in game 3 as I did. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
And
he had more
Giannis.
turnovers than rebounds and assists combined and points.
But you can't have success when your 2 best players are both your defensive liabilities on the other side of the basket.
They're the worst.
You can't play both of them
in the NBA.
You can't play both of them, and somehow Atlanta can always get a switch where Jalen Brunson is taking CJ McCollum, but on the other side we can't switch it.
He's too big for him too.
Did you tell me that? Was I talking to you about that?
I don't think that was me.
But you know what,
I can take credit for it.
Anyway, the Knicks are going to have a good luck charm tomorrow night at the Garden.
You can't look at Cole Anthony and go, by the way, what time do I meet you at the game?
Scott's got an extra ticket, whoever he wants to take.
You got his tickets for tomorrow?
I do.
Oh, you son. Anyhow. You're lucky my son's still away at college. I'm available.
Okay, good to know.
Actually, technically, I'm supposed to pick my wife.
If you want to catch a beer outside the Garden.
I'm supposed to pick my wife up at the airport, but I'm willing to send her the best Uber I can find.
I got you.
Fine, it's like that. All right.
Anyway, so I
no, you
I
don't
think
get to
they'll
talk.
get out.
You don't get to talk. Your time's up.
I will say this though: walking around the city during playoff time, I've seen so many Knicks hats and shirts and the energy, and it's good for the city when the Knicks are good. So. All New York City people, you probably want the Knicks to win this series.
And look, the Pistons are trailing in their series.
The East is wide open. We match up well with the Celtics. They're really good. They're a tough team, but would like to see them again.
We don't want to see Detroit, and we do not want to see Cleveland. Not been good luck. And then we don't even think about OKC yet. Worry about that when you get there.
Let's get there.
Yeah,
I'm worried about Boston, though.
Yeah, being that they won the division without their best player who showed up the last couple of weeks of the season.
Right.
All right, so economics, that's why we're here. So last week was the hearings for Kevin Warsh, the presumptive.
Were you glued to your TV watching them and taking notes while it was happening and thinking of your own questions?
Couple of takeaways.
Well, I called Scott for a business-related question. We have a deal going on together. I was like, Scott, you have this thing on in the background? It's
I said no.
And he said no.
Now we're not allowed to name names, but it's funny when you watch confirmation hearings. First of all, if you're in the party not controlling the administration, you're not going to like anybody they pick. Doesn't matter. It could be the perfect person. And it doesn't matter what side you're on.
And I hate that that's the way it is.
The nastiness from a certain person was unbelievable. And we joked about this last week. They're actually complaining this guy is too wealthy. All these people that got wealthy the easy way by insider trading and all the stuff they shouldn't be allowed to do, are yelling at a guy who made his money in the private sector and who married into $8 billion, I think, or $6 billion.
But you want somebody broke running the Fed? Like, you want somebody who knows what they're doing.
And somebody who plays the political game as good as anybody.
Correct. He can straddle both lines there. He's not a career politician where that's all he's done. Whereas you see a lot of these Fed members, all they've done in their entire career has been education and then the Fed. And that's it.
Yeah, Bernanke was a Princeton professor. I mean, and this goes to the second part, and this is what I know you read my blog every week. You clearly didn't read Fridays, I can tell by looking at it.
You were trying to be young with your statement. Let's go. Say less.
Say less, Fed.
Say less.
Yeah, my son cringes anytime I tell him I'm trying to use Gen Z references. But I've said this numerous times, this Fed speak, which the great economist Alan Blinder described as wordy, vague, and ambiguous statements, which is a nice way to say BS. Like it's a load of crap.
Right.
I won't read the paragraph I put in the blog, but it was an example of how these press conferences are a waste of time because it's always like, oh, the pace of hiring is moderating. things have stabilized. That means like we're not adding any jobs, but things could be worse. It's stuff like that people get really mad about. And I've always said, who are you talking to? Like might get it because we follow this. He's a lawyer, doesn't get it. But
I get it. I get it.
You get why he says what he says because some lawyer goes, oh wait, Powell's a lawyer, so he can do it himself.
I was thinking about you while I was reading because if you saw the way he was getting grilled by those senators,
I did see
they were taking things that he said years ago, articles that were written about him that he didn't refute, and they were like, "Why did you say this sentence?" Right, out of context. So if you're not very careful about what you say and how you say it and the words you say, it comes back to haunt you. Not right away. It can come back years and years later.
You can't worry about that because economic conditions change.
No, so I agree. I agree of saying less, but if you're going to have to talk, you need to speak in that way, in that manner, to protect yourself.
And we have clients like that, right? Where we'll talk to a client and they will harp on every single word that you say. They'll say, Scott, you said that the market is trending in the right direction. All I'm seeing is that the rates are going up. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
what I said and what you heard are two different things.
Right. So people do hear what they want to hear. And with this type of stuff, they can cherry pick something completely out of context and make it, work to their favor. And unfortunately, these types of hearings have become so political and they're not focusing on the task at hand.
And they always have been. I mean, let's not pretend that
it's just more present right now.
But he was a Federal Reserve, he was on the board before. He's a noted economist. He's made a lot of money because he's really smart. He's also my age and an economist. So all of that makes him qualified.
Mm-hmm. The age and the job title.
Right. And of course, he said, well, I didn't promise the administration cuts because obviously that's the question. No different than a Supreme Court justice who has a certain position on a, whatever it is. And you say, well, did you have to commit to voting this way? And they always say, no. Okay, we know that maybe you didn't commit, but that's going to be on your radar. But he was very calm the whole time. He didn't seem to get flustered at all. Because he's the smartest guy in the room, literally. It seems that way anyway, because he's an economist.
Did he say anything? I haven't seen this, but did he comment on the methodology that's used to, like, the data that they get and how they come to conclusions?
Actually, he did.
And that's something I've seen him in interviews. I just didn't know if it was a point that he mentioned here.
He talked about the employment data, but he spent some time talking about inflation and how they need a new way to measure it. You have the headline number, then you have core, which tries to strips out food and energy prices. But he wants to take it a step further because these temporary factors like housing, right, that is just because of the methodology where they collect the data. It's just they want to ignore stuff, at either end of the spectrum. Something that's rising because of a certain factor and something that's declining, kind of narrow the range. A couple of Federal Reserve banks already do this. I think Dallas has one that is showing inflation's closer to 2.5% than 3%. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem with finding new and smarter methods to do this. Especially when PCE is still a month behind.
Especially when they're using the same modeling that they've used since the 80s. Yeah, it seems like we need an upgrade. But in terms of the press conferences, Bernanke was the first Fed chairman to start doing
2011,
right?
like
2011.
Regularly.
Right. So if Warsh decides not to do them at all, is there a vacuum that needs to be filled there? Where now you have the general public and media personalities fill that void and come up with their own conclusions that the market then reacts to.
That's not what I get from what he said. His problem are two words: forward guidance. Mm-hmm. The dot plot, when they have their economic projections, like, oh, we expect to have 2 cuts through the end of the year.
People hate being wrong, so they're going to stick to those conclusions.
And a perfect example, inflation is transitory. Hey, we said it enough times in front of, now we got to double down on it.
Right.
And look at the cost.
Right.
4 years later, we're still trying to get it down.
Right.
And to where we want it to be, and we can't.
Right.
So I think that was his concern, that too many Federal Reserve Board members talk to too many people ahead of interest rate decisions, try to telegraph what they're doing. Obviously, Wall Street's not going to like this because they're like, we understand what they say. But you know what? Tough. You have to get over it because he's in charge if he gets confirmed. And of course, right as I was writing this column on Friday morning, the investigation into Jerome Powell has disappeared.
Right.
So it looks like he's going to get confirmed.
That coming, right? But weren't there words of them shifting that possibly to the Attorney General?
I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of people, you can look at it one or two ways.
I think it was a
that's a lot of money to spend to renovate a building, or or is it personal?
Listen, the response is if we find out that somebody was stealing $1 billion from this project, wouldn't you want to know, regardless of where you are? I
don't think the thing that the stealing is what they're necessarily accusing of. It's like
stealing is a loose term. Being irresponsible with the money.
It's like if I spent a ridiculous amount of money on something, my boss would call me 3 seconds later and be like, "What is this?"
Right.
Like, you've got to justify what you spent. And the question is, how could they have come up with $2.5 billion or whatever it is without getting an okay from? Like, is it like I'm the chairman of the Fed? I can sign off on this?
Yeah.
I really want to be chairman of the Fed now.
Yeah.
Now that you realize you don't have to be a lawyer, you got a shot.
But, to put a bow on this, I think for forever, they never said anything except the statement they released, which is written in some cryptic language that only Shar can understand. I got to call him. He tells me what it means. But then you start with the press conferences. Then you start doing them even when you're not having FOMC meetings, or, if you're not, we have a meeting coming up now. They're not going to do anything. We know that. Maybe the statement will change a little bit, but, what's the point?
Now, you can't stop the Fed governors from speaking, right? Like they're still going to do interviews. They could still go to the press and whatnot. But I guess if Warsh is at the helm, they'll follow his lead.
I guess the argument is, you want to go speak in front of this group of people, this economic council, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But stop trying to prepare people for what we're going to do, because we may change our minds, depending on data. You can't go out there and say, oh, we're going to do 2 rate hikes this year, and then say you're data dependent. You just said you were going to do 2 rate hikes this year, or whatever.
It's a great point.
And the world can change drastically during this time.
Right.
During that time,
Right.
How can you make that decision now?
I know. It looked like the Knicks were just going to lose out, and now it looks like we're going to win.
Always comes back to New York sports. I love it.
But I saw a parallel when you were talking about whether they're going to change the methodology or not. It was like when they replaced the head of the BLS, and we were talking about, is replacing that position going to fix the problem? Because how much influence does that one role have? Or is it the way that they collect data? And I think because we had the government shutdown extended, I don't think we can really depend on the data to see whether that's accurate or not.
Right. And with the QCW revisions taking away 800, 900, whatever, however hundreds of thousands of jobs, people lost confidence in it. And, it's unfortunate. Although lately the ADP data, which should be pretty accurate because they're paying almost all the private sector, they're showing an average of like 50,000 jobs being added a week over the last 4 weeks.
Wow.
Right.
It's like on the back of what we got, the last BLS report, it's like for March, it's like, wow, that would be like 400,000 jobs in 2 months. We won't know what to do with ourselves, Shar said.
But what I don't get, though, is that they should be the minimum. That should be the minimum number. If they're adding 50,000 jobs that week, you cannot revise that to 30,000. They've just told you they've added 50,000 jobs.
No, but the problem is I'm not. I don't know how transparent ADP is. They do have like a thing of how they collect it. There's always data that comes in late. And I use the example of my market reports. Every week I do a contract sign report.
Oh, I talk about this all the time.
I don't do it on Monday anymore because we found when we do the next week and revise the prior week, the revisions were too big. So now we wait till Tuesday to do it.
And there's a common sense reason for it. If a contract gets signed on Friday afternoon, like every
or
broker,
Saturday,
which rarely happens, but Friday afternoon, everybody's scrambling because the buyer doesn't want an open house on Sunday. The seller doesn't want to have to. So contracts get signed Friday afternoon. your broker on Friday at 4:30 is not reporting that contract to you by your report Monday morning.
Well, there are RLS requirements that require they do it. But yeah, I mean,
what is that? I'm curious. What is that?
It's 24 hours, I believe. But don't call me on
business
that.
hours.
Yeah.
So if it gets signed Friday afternoon, you're doing your report Monday
But the
morning.
thing is, like, you're going to get a warning, and then you'll have a certain amount of time to correct it. But some of it too is like new developments. Like new developments aren't reported sometimes, and they don't have to be. But then we may find out subsequently. And some of the revisions to the data can be big. Even quarterly reports, we have to have that done at the end of the quarter. Like they want the second quarter report July 1st.
Which makes no sense.
It's like, well, because it's not timely. If I had my way, I would release the quarterly reports a month after the quarter end because 95% of the data has come through Acris and you can be very comfortable with that. But people don't care. So we revise all the prior data in every report we do just to be as accurate as possible.
Right.
And contract activity's been decent the last couple weeks. So that's the best we can say.
I feel like the spring market started
Activity's
a little
definitely
bit
picking
early
up.
for
Everyone
All
I'm
right,
talking
on
to
that
is-
note,
Oh man,
we're
let's
going
get
to
a
take
word
a
in.
break. He has said more than one word. Lena, start counting how many words he says. That's how many Knicks tickets I got to get. All right, and we'll be right back with the latest on housing. Actually, we have a double dose of good news when we return to Greg Heym's Crossing the Line.
Looking to stage a property but on a tight budget and timeline? Stage with Stage and Fold. Stylish, lightweight, foldable, 3D printed cardboard furniture that looks real. Quick delivery and easy assembly. Staging starts at just $199 a month per room, and setup takes less than 30 minutes. Contact us today to stage smarter, sell faster, save thousands with Stage and Fold.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
All right,
They better keep winning.
mortgage rates, lowest level in the last 3 spring home buying seasons. Because who cares when it is the other time? We want them. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Below 6.3 for the first time in more than a month. You know, you keep hearing about possible negotiations. It never amounts to anything. But as long as it gets mortgage rates down, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Were you busy last week?
It's been busy. You know, we were just talking about it. The activity has definitely picked up. And, you know, we've said this before. When rates are steady, there's not a lot of volatility. You see an immediate uptick in your volume because naturally people are going to be on the fence when there's so much volatility and you have no idea what your payment is going to be on a day-to-day basis. Now we'll speak to a client, we'll get them pre-approved, and then we speak to them 2 weeks later while they're still looking, and their payments are around the same, if not a little bit lower. That keeps them in the market.
Okay.
So it's definitely been it's competitive right now. Rates are competitive. It's a competitive market. We're seeing a lot more clients. I'm sure you're seeing the same thing, Shar, where they're in competitive bid situations.
Absolutely.
And people needing to waive contingencies. So yes, rates are always really important for clients, but now it's how quickly can we get pre-approved. You know, I was working with clients over this past weekend where they had to get offers in super quickly to be competitive. So yes, rates are always important, but in a market like this right now, it's speed that is winning.
So we had the period where it dipped below 6.
Yeah. Right before the war started, right?
And then,
February.
like the war starts within a month, 0.5% up higher. Now you're
Quickly.
back down to like 6.25-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
The phone should be ringing. You should
They
have said,
are.
I can't
They
do the
are
show
ringing.
this week.
They definitely are.
It's definitely ringing
Even
for
your
sure.
phone, Shar?
Yes, my phone is definitely.
Those are my calls looking for you next week.
And look, these are, if you're organized in our business, and there's a lot of clients that you talk to that are at different stages. Some people are not looking to buy until a year from now. Some people are actively looking. But if you're organized as far as where everyone is, and then you see a little bit of a downturn in rates, connecting with those clients with some positive news gets them moving. You know, it's it's a lot easier to make that phone call and to speak to your agent partners and to let them know what is happening. It makes a difference, and you're adding value to a lot of these prospective home buyers out there because they want to be able to lock in a rate when it's lower versus when it's higher.
Now, what are the conversations you're having?
So I think you said it perfectly. It's really a matter of how quickly you can get these deals done. I got a deal sheet yesterday on a new development downtown, and the unit hasn't even been to market yet. It's on the pricier side. It was above $5 million, but the developer basically said, if I go to market on Wednesday like I was planning to, I'm going to get more for this, but I'd rather just get this one into contract. So we have, instead of getting 1 to 2 weeks to get into contract, they want it signed Wednesday afternoon.
We were just working on
just 2 weeks.
Something where Shar is representing the seller, and the seller's buyer had a hard time getting their loan done. So the seller said either they can find a new lender in 24 hours to get their mortgage, or we're going to relist it and put it back on the market. So that's another way that, because the seller knows that if I put it back on, I can find another buyer in this market relatively soon. So now from that buyer's perspective, they need to scramble and find a way to get their mortgage approved quickly so they can keep that transaction active.
So you have to be the calm one in all this, right?
So I think we definitely work. I mean, clients do get very emotional, but when the seller hears my buyer's going to get their mortgage declined, I have to relist. They're thinking, how much time am I going to lose? What we ended up doing is actually pivoting the buyer to speak to Scott. Scott said he got very creative actually with it. He said, I can get this done if A, B, and C can happen. Ended up salvaging the deal.
So wait a minute, you were actually a deal maker,
not a deal breaker.
Okay, he's living up to reputation. All right, you can use that commercial for one more
He puts
week.
his money where his mouth is, for sure.
And just to let you know how it went, the buyer actually took this creative idea that Scott had, shopped it to the previous lender and said, hey, why didn't you do this? And all of a sudden she had Scott and the other lender up against each other. And my seller said, no, if we're going to extend this, we're going to extend it only 2 weeks, and you have to use Scott for the financing because the guy you were using clearly can't get the deal done. So you're saying
he's a deal maker too.
He ended up saving the deal.
And a heartbreaker, as we always say. It's the hair. Like, people look at the hair like, he has hair, he must know something.
But, it would have been easy for any attorney to hear that the buyer was going to get denied by a mortgage and say, okay, let's wrap this up, move on to the next one. Your client loses 2 months. And there are a lot of people who would have been presented the transaction to Scott. And if you don't have that way of thinking out of the box, we would have lost the deal. So anybody can do an easy deal. You need to use people who can work around these problems.
Yeah. And again, that's where speed is so important in our business, especially here in this market, but in any market. I mean, I talk to loan officers and real estate agents in other markets. Speed, time kills deals. That's a popular saying in our industry. And when things are really competitive, and I'm working on a couple transactions right now in Florida, I mean, it's busy, it's active.
Yeah, and if you go out to the suburbs, I have a lot of brokers up on the North Shore. There's zero inventory.
No contingencies. Also, when someone finds something,
waiving everything. I won't let them waive inspections, but the prices on these houses is insane. And these brokers are saying, I'm having 20, 25 people show up to my open houses, and she's like, when I have buyers overpaying, I tell them, it's in my best interest for you to overpay for this house, but it's not worth it. Let's find something else. And the buyers are just saying, I need to close. They have,
there's a real FOMO there because there is no inventory.
Exactly.
And that's, my brother sold his house in Plainview a year and a half ago, whatever it was. They didn't even get to the open house.
Yeah. The
broker brought somebody they knew, and they paid a lot of money over ask just so the open house wouldn't happen. And then, there was some issues with shed from the neighbor, like the usual stuff that comes up, but they didn't care. All that stuff worked out pretty quickly after that. But it shows you because there were other houses in his neighborhood. They're all split ranches in Plainview, and they were all overpriced. He was priced right, and he wound up going well over ask. And those other things, last time I checked, were still in the market. Because even in a tight market, people know too high when they see it.
We just made a video for social media Follow
Is
me
he
at
cheating on us with
Loan
with
Daddy.
his own videos?
I actually saw him doing another podcast, and it hurt a little bit.
It was that was a one-time thing.
he's-
Whose podcast
This is
was
this
it?
is a consistent
He's
thing.
much funnier on
was
this
it was
one.
it Vince's?
No, it was not Vince's.
Yeah.
You will know about it.
But
You
nobody-
will definitely know about it.
Nobody mentioned his hair the whole
It
time.
was weird. I was like, am I even on a podcast right now?
You know, I spent 2 hours in the chair this morning getting this look.
In markets like this, though, you do see agent burnout, because if you are submitting 5, 10, 15 offers for a buyer and they're all getting rejected and you're losing, the client has burnout, the agent has burnout. And so we just did a whole video about this, and it's so important to have a support system, other agents in your industry who have gone through every single thing that you're going through. And if the burnout is because you have too much business, that's a high quality problem that needs a high quality solution, and learning how to scale your business and hire the right people. But these types of markets, because you have clients are very reactionary. And if an agents obviously right now, they're always working on a weekend, but if you have a plan for a weekend, then someone calls you, hey, I need to see this place immediately or it's going to go, then you need to stop what you're doing. You need to help that client. And if you can't, they may work with somebody else.
Right.
And the only way to really start to grow and scale is to hire more people.
And when it's so tight, you'll take overpriced listings. The only listings you can get.
Right.
That's where the challenge is. So good news. And we got other good news on pending home sales up in March, 1.5%. We shouldn't throw a party for, but we'll take it. Considering existing home sales, those are when it's closed. Pending home sales are when contracts are signed. So that's good news, even with how much you think of the rate jump after the war started at the end of February. You'd say, well, what? And the gas prices and all the concern that goes with a war, at least the number was decent.
There could be a
right?
rush, right, to lock it in before things
the
go
rates
higher.
skyrocket.
Right.
Regardless of what's going on in the war, we've talked about this a lot. People's lives change where they need to sell or they need to buy. I was at dinner last night. A friend got married, bought a one-bedroom apartment, or rented a one-bedroom apartment, had a baby, quickly had a second baby, surprisingly, not expected. We call it a surprise blessing, by the way, not an accident.
Well, surprise
and he's like, I gotta go. He's like, I'm stubbing
You
my...
didn't know what you wanted until you got it? Was that something? Somebody explained that to me once.
There you go. I don't like to use the word accident when a baby comes. So it's a surprise blessing.
Because babies are great.
Unexpected. They are great. They bring a lot of happiness. But he's like, I'm stubbing my toe every time I try and walk out of a room. It's like there's no room for anything. So regardless of what rates are, he's got to get out of that apartment.
Right.
And that's the business that is going to keep us going.
Well, you got to keep going because someone's got to sponsor this great show because America needs a show and the world, and we got to beat Vince in the ratings. In case you're wondering, you probably
I
weren't.
was wondering.
Well, what metro areas had the biggest increase in activity? And number one was Kansas City. But it's funny, I was looking at this list, and I have family members with connections to a lot of these areas. Raleigh and Cary, I have a niece and nephew in that area. Do you know what Cary stands for? By the way, it's in North Carolina, in case you didn't know. It stands for
It's Raleigh.
Raleigh. It doesn't matter. Cary stands for Containment Area for Relocated Yankees. That's it's not how they came with the name, but it's an inside joke.
Oh,
interesting.
Virginia Beach, my sister.
They've
I had
kept that joke close to the vest, apparently.
My brother lives in Dallas, Fort Worth, big gain, and I have a nephew in Arlington, which had a big gain.
Okay.
What are the states? Say the states, not the cities.
Missouri, Wisconsin, Texas,
Missouri, Wisconsin,
Arizona,
and Texas.
Portland/Vancouver. Right. Is it Vancouver in the United States? Huh.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's in
Greg's
Washington
iPad
State.
is never wrong.
That is correct. I try, but it's good to see, and we're starting to see activity. I wouldn't say it's green shoots, but I'd say it's starting to awaken, so to speak.
Agreed.
With the realization that wars go on a long time, we need to do what we got to do. It's the spring season. Inventory is not incredibly tight, but it's not incredibly loose either. So I think people should make long-term decisions, thinking long-term and not trying to find the exact moment that's right to buy.
Right. Absolutely.
unless the Knicks win the championship, then you should buy Ben.
I know.
That hasn't happened in 53 years. And
Jalen Brunson will really be mayor. Doesn't matter how bad your defense is.
No,
He's gonna earn that bobblehead spot.
Do we have a commitment if he wins he gets on it? Because I still think.
I mean,
If they win. He's gonna have a
Gators got 2
gonna have a
rings.
spot here.
Patino's got 2 NCAA rings and a Greek ring.
but not with St. John's.
it doesn't matter.
Jalen Brunson's got college championships.
They were not in New York, so they did not count. And it was for a rival Big East school, which really, it's how hard
So
it
he
is
needs to
for
win
me.
2 New York championships.
So you got these 3 Villanova players, and as a St. John's grad, it's hard for me to root for them, just like it was hard for me to root for Patrick Ewing, who kept St. John's from winning a national championship. But I got over it, even though we wound up not winning a championship. But Ewing was a great player. All right. And in other news, keeps shrugging off this war? The stock market. Record closings. Well, because it doesn't care about yesterday. It doesn't care about what you said 5 minutes ago. It cares about what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's why the Fed tries to do these things, to manage the stock market by speaking in a language that only Wall Street understands, which leaves the average Joe or Joanne. Hey, honey. It's funny because Joe is Nikki's husband, and that's why we're going to call our duo Married to Joe's, but we didn't think people would get it unless they knew us.
That's a good name.
It was a good name.
You could still use it.
Nah,
No one needs to know the story.
The Nikki and Greg experience is roaring through.
Okay. Fair enough.
I noticed the other day, I was on the phone with her, and she's like, I think I'm going to call this place and see about it. I go, no, you're not. So in May, me and Nikki have 8 gigs in May.
Wow.
And we have jobs.
Yeah.
She's a lawyer. Well, they don't do anything. But
Are they all Friday, Saturday nights?
some are Wednesday. Like in Northport, they don't need music on the weekends because apparently every restaurant, especially on a Saturday night in Northport, is mobbed.
Tapped anyway.
So Wednesday and Thursday. In fact, we'll be playing this Thursday at Feed and Green in Northport. Come see the Nikki and Greg
How many
experience.
autographs are you signing at these
0.
performances?
Absolutely
Really? You don't have
0.
to, like
But
groupies coming to all of your performances.
Recognized?
it's funny because not necessarily, but like the first time we played at the Feed and Green, to give Nikki a break, I'll do an instrumental with a backing track. And I was doing a song called Angel Eyes, not the Jeff Healey song, the old jazz song. Sinatra used to do it all the time. And when I finished, a guy literally ran up, threw money in the tip jar and shook my hand and said, I never thought I'd hear that song live.
Wow, that's cool.
And he's like, how do you know that song? I'm like, I studied jazz for 5 years. He's like, cool. So then he came up afterwards and wanted to know how I was getting all this sound out of stuff. So I showed him the looper pedal, the guitar. Because I used to do that. I go to a restaurant, I saw a guy, playing that I did something I didn't know how to do. You ask him.
Yeah.
People are usually very nice about it. I'm very nice about it.
I love, first
Not
of all,
that you guys come to a gig, but
not to discount it, but that is a great feeling when you get a compliment like that.
When somebody recognizes something that you're not going out of your way to show off, like that is cool. Now I wander around the crowd during some songs because I have a wireless system. Nikki's jealous because she's like tethered by the microphone. But it's fun. But again, people think, oh, you're doing what you love. You're getting a little money for it. But it is 3 hours mostly on your feet. Everything hurts the next day. Right. The worst arthritis in my hands and my knees are terrible. It's work. And we did a gig last week and it was really warm in the place and it's hard because you get
It's really
tired
nice
very
that you donate all the money you generate to charity.
I do not, but I do try. Look, half the time, if the Joes are there, that's where most of our pay goes to their tabs. But I'm fortunate that we not doing it because we need the money.
Right.
That's what people that have 8 gigs do. People that have real jobs don't play 8 gigs.
I think we need to open up the Greg and Nikki Experience bar.
Well,
Your own bar.
I'm down to it.
so she had a
Build
charity.
a stage that you want. Maybe it's good on your knees, good for your.
She had a charity event on Sunday at a theater on 42nd Street. So with students, she has a foundation. Her sister passed a couple of years ago, so she has a foundation that gives scholarships to music students at CW Post. So
Nikki's the moral one of the group.
The nice one.
Philanthropic one.
But anyway, she would say I'm the nice one. She
She sounds like a liar.
She's
a lawyer.
She's a lot to keep up with. But anyway, so in the theater, you know, these students were saying, it was really great. They're excellent. And then she's like, do you want to do a gig here? So there could be a gig in Manhattan coming up.
All right, there we go.
We've been waiting.
She's promised you all better show up, but that's
Give
it.
the people what they want.
It's going to be weird, though, because you're used to being in restaurants. Now, it's basically like a restaurant has tables and has service and a 2-drink minimum, of course. And we can charge whatever we want for the ticket, so we're fleecing you. That's it. Now that we'll give a little bit of discount. We'll let Ray and Lena in for free, but, you know, they better meet the 2-drink minimum.
Say, Shar, would you pay for those tickets?
It's weird. As you do different types of gigs, there's some that stand out for being kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing outside gigs is dicey because this is going to rain.
The sound is tough.
To try to get sound, humidity, heat, cold.
We should let Shar open up, right? He'll
Telling jokes.
He'll just work the audience for 5 minutes, do like a quick 5, and then introducing the Greg and Nick experience.
Right. I'm down.
He'd be like, let me tell you about torts, okay? And then they'd be like, see, economics.
And then you come in and wake them up.
Yes, and we come in really loud.
Right.
We always start slow and soft. We always, every gig we've ever done, we've opened with the same song. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to go to a gig, you hear it. But
Every gig you've ever done?
is started with the same song. And it's because it makes her ease into it. And it's fine with me because I got to get warmed up too. Usually the first set's mostly acoustic stuff. And then we get louder as the night goes on.
Okay.
Actually, we get louder as Nikki sings more because, you know, we always sound check in the beginning and like Joe will give us like a thumbs up. And then by the second song, he's like, it's too loud. So there you go.
Just cross-reference the sports calendar when you schedule this.
Yeah. Well, you know, I can't help it. We've got to book it in advance. It'd probably be game 7 of the NBA finals. And you're still going to have to come, Shar.
I promise you I won't come.
Fine. Be that way.
Game 7.
I wouldn't show up. I just don't.
How many rounds would you need to go into the playoffs to tell your wife we're not doing a Saturday night dinner because I need to watch the game?
Oh, that's
I
a
would
given.
also had planned Saturday night, and I sort of like pushed them out. It was a 6:00 game, and we had plans for 9:30, so I figured the game would be done by
You had
9.
plans for
It worked out well.
9:30?
Yeah, we didn't.
Well, we said
That worked out perfectly.
9:30.
The Knick game starts at first of all, it's a Saturday night.
I'm in bed at 9:30, even on a Saturday. Come on, unless I'm gigging, then. I mean, 9:30. Scott's like, yeah, that's when I shower and get dressed. Is 9:30, maybe 10.
I feel like the Fed. I shouldn't be talking so much.
You shouldn't. That is
I
correct.
get pounced
New
on.
York
Yeah.
in the spring, 9:30.
Easy.
I'm tired.
And by midnight, or we had the manager walk over. He goes, I really appreciate you guys joining us. Have a wonderful night.
That means
Like,
get
is
the
that
bleep
code?
out now.
Yeah, is that
yeah.
code to get out?
Yes. That's the one thing, like on the jazz jams we go to on Sunday, when you go and sit in the third set, by the time you get back to the table, your check's there. It's like, okay, you played your number, you get out. I had a great time yesterday sitting with friends of mine, playing my favorite jazz song and the drummer's favorite jazz song, a song from my father. It's funny, I played that at a gig like 2 weeks ago, and someone goes, what is that? And I go, a song from my father. She goes, you wrote this song for your father? I go, I wish I did. Horace Silver wrote it for his father. But here's something funny. Me and Horace Silver, well, he's passed, long past, but we have something in common. We both have sons named Gregory. Woo. And I know that because Gregory was looking for songs with Gregory in the title, and Horace Silver had a song called Gregory Is Here.
Pretty cool.
It's instrumental. Very good song. Never performed it. Got to get on that. But I want to do it with my son, but he's too lazy to learn jazz. Anyhow.
Does he play?
He doesn't play the correct way. He won't let me teach him right. And he's making a
have
huge
a
mistake.
feeling.
No, he's
You
making
got to find a
huge
nicer way to say that to him.
I thought that was a nice way. He's not letting me teach him right. It's like if somebody is shooting a basketball with 2 hands, Scott's going to go, no, it's 1 hand. Use balance. Right. And you do, like you, and you're not going to shoot to your potential until you do that. Until my son learns how to read chord charts, and he knows how to read music. You got to get off the tablature. You got to learn how to play correct, because it's a lot easier to learn the correct way than the correct problems, because that's what ruined me with jazz.
Yeah. Tell him if he doesn't find a summer job this summer, he's going to have to learn to play. He's spend time with you.
Well, I heard about that internship at Sedge and Zuckerman. That's not available.
Oh, he wants a non-paid internship?
You're not allowed to have a non-paid internship.
That is true.
Unless he's getting college credit, then you can do it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not happening.
See, I know that because I've done that. You got to clear that stuff with HR. It's very important. Look, minimum wage is sufficient.
I'm HR.
Oh, jeez, I'm really in trouble. Your HR puffing stuff. I know you remember that, Ray, right? Those those are some of the scariest puppets I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how they got away with alleged kid shows that had scary stuff like that. Anyhow, anybody got anything else? No? Excellent.
Let's go Knicks.
We said it all.
All right. Well, we're going to have
the drafts, just general. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
All right. So ESPN gave the Jets an A-. I got to say, you knew it was going to be one of those edge rushers. They're both great. They got the guy from Texas right. I don't have a feeling like that other than they saying he's a stud. The tight end kind of threw me for a loop. It's like we took a tight end in the second round last year. We have 8 million needs, but they're saying this guy is some kind of physical freak.
But they're also planning to use a 2 tight end set a lot more than they would.
And how many Super Bowls you win doing that typically?
Just as many as we had since 1969.
There was a guy saying that in the exact moment of the draft, the Jets drafted the same position they did last year. He's a Mets fan. The Mets gave up a grand slam to lose the game.
No.
And the Knicks lost game 3 in the last second.
And that
all that happened in 1 minute.
In a New York minute.
In a New York minute.
I could have not known that. I would have been totally fine.
I think the biggest shock.
The Knicks won game. They ended up winning game 4 though. So
the biggest shock wasn't what the
though.
Jets did. It was what's his name, Simpson, going so early in the draft to the Rams. But it seems like everybody's calling it the steal of the draft because he'll sit behind Stafford, who just won the MVP award.
Right.
And, he only played 15 games. And this was the knock on Sam Darnold and Mark Sanchez. Right. That when you leave college at 19, you haven't played a lot of games.
So if you saw Sean McVay's reaction when they put him in the pit,
what was it with him and the GM? Like,
so I'll tell you, I saw an interview with him afterwards, and he basically said, I don't know if it's true or not, but what his story was that I was trying to give a message to my quarterback, right? That this is not us pushing you out. This is just us thinking of the future. That's what he was. That's what he said he was thinking about.
Well, look, Aaron Rodgers sat behind Favre for a couple of years. Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Look at, and then Rodgers got pushed out for love. Like okay,
the same way.
Don't let the door hit you. You know where on the way out. But yeah, I don't watch a lot of college football because 99% of the games are blowouts. There's nothing exciting to me about it. College basketball is a hell of a lot more exciting. But, the Giants, I think you got to be happy, too. If you're a Giants fan, you made a great trade. Although you're drafting more edge rushers, it's like, I thought you guys did that okay. Like, but we'll see. They have a quarterback, so they don't have to worry about it.
I saw a story about the Chiefs had drafted whoever they drafted. They called him and they said, we know that we didn't really call you in. We didn't really interact with you much during the pre-draft workouts. And the reason was we didn't want anyone to know how high you were on our chart. And that was like the
well, the Jets did that. The Jets canceled their visit with that guy they drafted. Why is his name escaping me?
I can't remember either.
But it didn't matter because everybody knew Mendoza was going 1, and they were going to get whoever they wanted, who wasn't named Mendoza.
Right.
And they canceled the visit because they probably knew they had everything that they needed.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Joe Rogan has this guy Jamie. Anytime he needs to look something up, he's like, Jamie, can you look that up? Jamie, can you?
Yeah. Why don't we have someone to do that?
Why is Ray not looking up?
He's sleeping over there. These union jobs, you can't get rid of these people no matter how much they slack off. All right, that's it. We're done.
We're done.
Thank you, Ray, Lena, Scott, and Shar, and everybody there who I will now name that's listening to the podcast still.
It's good to be back. It was nice to get the team put together. The Three Stooges?
Something like
Sure,
that.
let's go with that. Do you have multiple personalities?
Are we upgraded to the Three Amigos yet?
We're certainly not the Three Wise Men, so we're somewhere in between. We don't have a catchy thing like in the movie where they do all those. Yeah, we don't do stuff like that. We're not letting you choreograph it either. Maybe rub our heads or something.
You're Chevy Chase.
Wasn't either one the good-looking one? You could be Martin Short. And I don't know who you can't be Steve Martin. You're nowhere near that funny. Have a great week, everybody. We'll catch you next week on Greg Heym's Crossing the Line if I'm still employed.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.